What would be the impact on trade of this 19% tariff on Pakistan?
Currently, Pakistan has a trade of about 5.5 billion with the United States annually, and in that regards, we have 3 billion trade surplus in this trade, bilateral trade with the United States. So it is going to down by 19% when the tariffs would be high. So this is the first strike that Pakistan's trade surplus would be getting.
What is the basis issues with the industrial sector in Pakistan?
Firstly, we lack a comprehensive policy. Every time we see a makeshift arrangement in that regards. Secondly, sir, there is a monopolization of industrial sector. For instance, 67% of our exports.
Has 26th Amendment secured or compromised independence of the judiciary in Pakistan?
Sir, in the against, we have commentaries of international juries. Firstly, sir, the AV Dicey has recently mentioned that the procedure is kind of very much against the inclusiveness. The procedure adopted for the 26th Amendment is not democratic in the spirit.
What are the issues confronted by the PTCL at this point?
Right now, one of the latest issue is to sell the land in II Chandrigarh Road, Karachi. PTCL was trying to sell the land to private contractors. However, there happened an issue that do they really have the rights to sell that land? So that was the first issue.
What are the implications, negative or positive, when government of Pakistan takes loans from commercial banks?
So firstly, the efficiency issue. For instance, sir, IMF in every time in its report states that Pakistan is running from implementing the efficiency model that IMF is suggesting Pakistan in the Extended Fund Facility program.
Please, have a seat, please.
What is your introduction?
So my name is Abdul Wahab. I belong to Multan. I did Bachelor's of Electrical Engineering from NUST, SEEKS, Islamabad on merit-based scholarship. After my graduation, I started my journey as an entrepreneur, in which I worked as a freelance project manager, securing various international software development projects and coordinating with graphic design and development teams for their timely completion. In addition, sir, I have also worked as an assistant business manager in PTCL for 4 years. And currently, I am working as a co-founder in an e-commerce leather brand, which is operational in the United Kingdom. And for the leather brand, I have secured an investment of about 100,000 dirhams. And sir, as a voluntary work, I have been giving digital training to the youth such that they can start their online businesses. And in my free time, I like writing, singing, and spending time with my nieces, telling them metaphysical stories. Thank you, sir.
So what kind of contribution you are making to society in your written messages on the Facebook and Twitter?
Sir, there are 3 key areas in which I am trying to give my humble contribution to the society. Firstly, sir, in terms of changing the perception of the youth, that there is a lot in this system to trust on, and instead of just becoming the part of brain drain. And secondly, sir, I am also contributing in terms of giving them ideas for small businesses, like what they can start with minimum investment while residing in the home instead of focusing on a lot of capital. So these are the 2 areas in which I am currently.
आपके followership का number क्या है?
Sir, currently on Instagram it is about 1500 and my page Coding Campus, through which I am giving digital training, is around 3000, sir.
Are you making some money?
From followership, sir? No, sir, not from.
Or from these any social media platforms?
Sir, I haven't monetized that. I registered that as a non.
Are you working for the PTCL?
No, sir, not right now.
You had worked for the PTCL.
Yes, sir.
Why did you leave that job?
So firstly, I figured out that I was being underserved or underutilized there because I had more interest in terms of business and I was being served there in technical department. I actually had conversated with HR in Lahore as well. So they said that you really have to continue in the technical department. So I decided I have to leave it now.
What is happening in Pakistan these days?
Sir, in these days, Pakistan is showing on the global picture that Pakistan is a very resilient state. Firstly, we have defended our territorial borders very soundly against India, one of our adversaries. And secondly, Pakistan's foreign policy profile has gone much of the currency in the Washington as well. And thirdly, sir, Pakistan is the only country right now who has gained foreign direct investment from conservative mindset of Donald Trump in the pool of all the other countries who are in the tariffs anxiety. And finally, Pakistan is on the path of Udan Pakistan with 5E strategy from the path of economic stability to economic growth now, sir.
You're talking about entire government narrative. What is your own narrative on this issue?
So my core narrative is that Pakistan is on the path of stability as compared to history, and I see that Pakistan is going.
बेटा जब इंटरव्यू में आते हैं ना तो फिर अपनी इंडिपेंडेंट ओपिनियन और उसके साथ चला करते हैं, ठीक है ना? सो वी एक्सपेक्ट यू कि आपने बिल्कुल वही लहजे बोले हैं जो एक
पीटीसी वाला,
हाँ
पीटीवी वाला,
पीटीवी के ऊपर जो
वाला।
एक नैरेटिव चलता है ना,
उड़ान पाकिस्तान।
your style was this, simply that.
Okay, sir.
I ask you about. अच्छा, then, but United States has imposed 19% tariff
Sir,
compared to what was the past tariff?
sorry, sir.
It was in general 2%. Now it is 19%.
Okay, sir.
What would be the impact on trade
So firstly,
of this 19% tariff on Pakistan?
So currently Pakistan has a trade of about 5.5 billion with the United States annually, and in that regards we have 3 billion trade surplus in this trade, bilateral trade with the United States. So it is going to down by 19% when the tariffs would be high. So this is the first strike that Pakistan's trade surplus would be getting. And however, sir, I see that Pakistan has negotiated well in that regards in gaining more on foreign direct investment and in oil trade with the United States, as the first shipment of oil is going to come to Pakistan.
So, is it foreign direct? Do we call it foreign direct investment?
So we can say
Shipment of oil to Pakistan?
no, sir.
Is it investment, or it is simply the drain of our own money at a higher cost?
Sir, it is actually a drain of our money. However, in terms of FDI, Pakistan has secured about 500 million to 1 billion US dollars in the mineral sector. That is a foreign direct investment that United States has given a green signal for rare earth minerals that are residing in Gilgit-Baltistan, the 34 rare earth minerals which are very much in limelight in the geopolitics.
What is our agreement, trade agreement with Azerbaijan?
Sir, Pakistan has done a trade deal for aircrafts, the fighter jets with Azerbaijan of about 5 billion US dollars, sir. However, 5 billion
US dollars,
sir, annual trade, sir. Apart from that, I am unable.
Annual trade of Pakistan with Azerbaijan
Sir,
is
yes,
5 billion.
Sir, 5 billion trade agreement, sir.
It is one time. It is a proposal for the one-time agreement.
Okay, sir.
Okay. What is the defense? What is the potential of the defense industry of Pakistan?
Sir, defense industry in terms of artillery, Pakistan has proven its capacity in the India-Pakistan equation.
Artillery?
Sir, artillery, sir, weapons, sir.
artillery shells or artillery cannons?
Sir, as a whole, sir, weapons, sir. The physical weapons, sir. So in that regards, Pakistan has proven in the India-Pakistan equation, and in terms of JF-17, that was started in 2003 with the collaboration of China. And sir, in terms of tanks technology as well, Pakistan is working, and currently the boom is in the electronic warfare, because after India-Pakistan equation, Pakistan has realized that in the near future, wars is going to be dependent on the electronic sphere, the EM wars. So for that purpose, we are actually working on the Artificial Intelligence Central Park in collaboration with China.
Okay. What is the basis issues with the industrial sector in Pakistan?
Sir, firstly, we lack a comprehensive policy. Every time we see a makeshift arrangement in that regards. Secondly, sir, there is a monopolization of industrial sector. For instance, 67% of our exports are concentrated in only 5% of industries, sir. And thirdly, sir, we lack foreign direct investment.
Is it monopoly?
Sir, it is a monopoly, sir, as compared to Bangladesh. For instance, there are a lot of SMEs which are getting converted to industries now, large-scale industries. We see India as well after their IT boom. Their small and medium-scale enterprises are converted into large-scale manufacturing, sir. So that is relatively a monopoly, sir, that a common person, for instance, a graduate is not getting space to adjust in the industry, sir.
What is the difference between a monopoly and monopolistic competition?
Sorry, sir, I am unaware about
So
that.
please.
Sir,
Has 26th Amendment secured or compromised independence of judiciary in Pakistan?
Sir, there are certain narratives about it that it has undermined the
Give us various views on the subject.
sir, in that
For and against both. You are free to say. whatever.
Sir, in the against, we have commentaries of international jurists. Firstly, sir, the AV Dicey has recently mentioned that the procedure is kind of very much against the inclusiveness. The procedure adopted for the 26th Amendment is not democratic in the spirit. And secondly, in the domestic judiciary, there is an element of seniority that they are claiming that due to lack of seniority, now the credibility will be undermined.
okay, what was not democratic in that procedure?
Sir, in that regards, there are narratives as per the newspaper, sir, that
I'm asking you, you are giving
Your views. You give your views.
sir, my views
Were
are
all the parties on board?
आपने पहले भी इसी तरह की एक बात की जिस पे आप पकड़े गए. Secondly, answer us this question.
okay, sir. Sir, in that regards, I see that for an amendment, absolute majority is very much necessary as per the constitution. However, I see that there was an issue going on for the reserved seats, and all the parties were not on board. So I see that it wasn't an inclusive approach, and it led to again the title that it was a doctrine of necessity that was now engaging in the executive or legislature buildings, sir.
Is there anything in the politics of Pakistan which has been non-controversial in the history of politics?
Sir,
There are certain events.
Sir,
Tell me about those events.
Sir, one event is, sir, focusing on the nuclear weapon. Every political party or the military group was on the same page in making.
I'm talking about the constitutional development. I'm talking within the National Assembly.
So within the National Assembly, we
When
have.
there was not any conflict, there was a consensus.
Sir, on the
What were those events?
So firstly, the event of making of 1973 Constitution was the national consensus, and right now as well, whichever new political party is coming, it gives the consensus in the Election Commission of Pakistan to the Constitution. So one event was that, and I'm unaware.
What about 18th Amendment?
Sir,
Was
18
it not with the consensus?
Sir, that was. So that was also an event with the consensus following.
Inclusion of FATA.
Ah.
I'm sorry, cut it.
Sir, I really need to gather my thoughts for that, sir.
Who is your favorite philosopher?
Sir, Plato.
Why?
So because he supported rationalism for the first time, and that rationalism continued as an edifice and transformed dark ages, then to Renaissance, then to Reformation, Enlightenment. Finally, we have this modern and technological age that we can say that everything started through his philosophy.
What is your understanding of the term new norm in the context of recent Indo-Pak conflict?
Sir?
New norm.
So new norm is a kind of military terms. If we see the India-Pakistan equation, and we see on the Indian side largely moody government like the Rajnath Singh and Amit Shah are right now using this term and saying that we have established a new norm and we are going to attack anytime we see a terrorist attack in India without.
Okay. Ji, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, Wahab, PTCL, right? So it was a government-owned entity, and then we basically so-called or apparently privatized it.
Sir.
So government of Pakistan gave it to an organization, a UAE-based organization, which is again a government organization.
Sir.
So do you support this policy? And this time as we speak, PTCL is again facing lots and lots of issues, managerial and financial.
Sir.
Was it a good policy? From one government entity giving it to another government entity
Sir, in my opinion.
and then calling it a privatized institution?
Sir, I support that policy in 2006 given to Atta Salat. Firstly, sir, Atta Salat was already running the telecom sector in UAE, was experienced organization. Secondly, sir, I see on the part of efficiency that in terms of efficiency, we see the transformation from 1.5 to 2G network. Right now, PTCL is working in research and development on 5G technology, and we have tested in Karachi and Islamabad as well. And thirdly, sir, I see that in terms of internet penetration, PTCL is very much vibrant in that regards to and Pakistan government is right now requiring as well the digital transformation, as Pakistan is giving the digital governance model. So for that purpose, PTCL, that decision was very valuable in contrast to all other SOEs which peddled the same tenure.
What are the issues confronted by the PTCL at this point?
So right now, one of the latest issue is to sell the land in II Chandrigar Road, Karachi. PTCL was trying to sell the land to private contractors. However, there happened an issue that do they really have the rights to sell that land? So that was the first issue. Secondly, sir, PTCL is facing human resource crisis in terms of talent acquisition. For instance, they are trying to manage their Huawei networks and ZTE networks by importing the labor from China. Every time the Chinese have to come and organize to settle the major flaws in DWDM networks as well. And finally, sir, they are also facing issues of customer churns in terms of business. As per my experience, sir, every time they start increasing the number of connections, and lately they face the churn of customers, and they are very much worried about that. So these are the three areas, sir.
Okay, Wahab, can you tell me what happens when when government of Pakistan resorts to commercial borrowing?
Sir,
Borrowing from the commercial banks?
sir, in that regards, I see the increase in circular debt of the government, and that was
What is the circular debt of the government?
Sir, pardon me, sir, I have to correct myself. That's the internal debt, sir. And sir, in that regards, IMF in February 2022 closed the gate for that.
But what happens? What happens? What are the implications, negative or positive, when government of Pakistan takes loans from commercial banks?
So firstly, the efficiency issue. For instance, sir, IMF in every time in its report states that Pakistan is running from implementing the efficiency model that IMF is suggesting Pakistan in the Extended Fund Facility Program, and Pakistan, instead of implementing...
Tell me in simple economic terms, what happens when a government borrows from a commercial bank?
Sir, debt increases, sir. The internal debt increases, sir.
Okay. And if I am an investor and I go to a commercial bank, what will happen to me? I'm a private investor.
Sir, they will say that a lot of our funds are exhausted towards the government, and your industry will not be going to...
So that's what happens.
So, okay, sir.
What are some of the issues related to SMEs in Pakistan?
So firstly, the issue of microfinance. For instance, if a person is there and he has an idea, for instance, a startup idea, and he wants to materialize that idea, so he lacks the seed funding in that case. Secondly, sir, social safety nets are not there. For instance, an SME is kind of an entrepreneurial journey. In that regard, sir, 98% of SMEs are struggling in the initial incubation phase because of lack of seed funding. And thirdly, sir, incubation centers are not there, which gives direction to SMEs. Finally, sir, logistics parks are not there. For instance, if a female is trying to export, just like a female in China, Guangzhou, wants to export the domestic products to Europe or United States, she does not have a logistic park or one window operation that can connect her production to the international market. So these are the major issues that resist the scalability of the SMEs, sir.
Okay, what is the period of age of end of empire in Europe lately?
Sir, lately...
End of empires.
Sir, it started from French Revolution, sir. I see that from 1789, because that was the first resistance given by bourgeois class and the peasant class against the absolute monarchy.
What were the major empires in the 18th and 19th century?
Sir, in the 18th century, there were, sir, first major...
19th century, come to the 19th century.
First one was, sir, Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Habsburg Empire. Second one was, sir, Prussian Empire. Third one, sir, Russian Empire under Alexander Tsar. Fourth one is, sir,
What was the role of the Habsburg Empire in the Protestant movement?
Sir, in the Protestant movement, sir, sorry, sir, I am not able to recall, sir.
What has been the two important invasion routes to this subcontinent?
Sir,
From the steppes or from the Asia Minor?
Sir, I see first one was the Hindu Kush mountains was the first route of invasion, and that is why, sir, it is called Hindu Kush. And second one is, sir, from South Sindh, as Muhammad bin Qasim came from Sindh to this region, sir.
Why this Hindu Kush mountain range became the most popular route compared to the southern route?
Sir, because mountains gave kind of defense to the attackers or the invaders.
Crossing of mountain is not something very easy in those days.
So sorry, I am unable to connect my thoughts, sir. I am unable to connect my thoughts, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Bas
Thank you.